So what will it take to get HGV drivers back behind the steering wheel? After reading the comments on some recent videos, it's clear there are some very unhappy HGV drivers out there, and they've also made it very clear what their reasons are. Now, the first one being pay. National minimum wage went up to £11.44 for over 25-year-olds at the beginning of the financial year, and that's brought some HGV drivers even closer to that minimum wage. I have made a video recently about HGV driver wages. I'll link that up in the corner somewhere. Yeah, and with that minimum wage increase, it's almost made it worth them going and stacking shelves in a supermarket. Not that there's anything wrong with that, rather than driving a truck. So, do we need a pay rise? If we do get a pay rise, then costs will go up. Our boss will put the cost of deliveries up, meaning the cost of goods for those customers will have to increase to cover the increased cost in deliveries, which means ultimately stuff on the shelves, the things we're actually buying, is probably going to cost more money. Now, I know economics is a little bit more complicated than that, but all that extra money that we would be getting from a pay rise is just going to go on buying stuff that we would normally be buying anyway. Now, being a HGV driver, we typically do more hours than most other industries, sometimes as high as 70 hours in a week. That can be double what some industries have as their full-time hours. On the whole, people didn't have an issue with doing the hours. There were some people that didn't want to do that many hours anymore, or had changed what they were wanting to do with their hours, etc. But as I say, on the whole, people were happy with doing those hours. It was the fact that they didn't know when they were starting, when they were finishing, all of those sorts of things leading to that unpredictability. It was the delays that people were getting when they were at distribution centres and delivery sites and those type of things. And for an industry that is governed so strictly by the times that we can work and the driving hours, etc., there is just so many things that are out of our control that completely mess up our days around timings and stopping us from being able to complete something or making it home or whatever. This one, I don't really know what the solution could be, because there's so many things that would need to change. Staffing levels at delivery sites, but again, that increased costs. Changes to the road infrastructure and the way that operates, because yeah, let's face it, most of the motorways in the UK aren't fit for purpose anymore. And then changes to driving hours and restrictions and stuff like that. Yes, they're here for safety, I completely get that, but they also introduced, way back when, lorries were much more difficult to drive than they are now, on the whole. But I understand we've got to have things in for safety, so yeah, there's just too many variables to try and fix this one, I think. And now the big one, the driver's CPC. Some people are calling it a stealth tax, some people are saying it's a complete waste of time, and it's the reason that they've either not renewed their license, or when it comes to needing to renew their CPC side of it, they're just not going to do it. So what's the solution for the CPC? Do we just get rid of it? That isn't going to happen. It makes too much money. And that's the stealth tax that everybody refers to. It's something that the government wants us to be a part of and requires us to be a part of as part of the European rules and regulations that we still have to follow. I can't find any information anywhere that says countries are getting rid of the CPC. There are a few countries that don't require a CPC, but those are the ones that aren't part of the European Union. But to drive there, you have to go to other countries that do require a CPC. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. So the only option really is to make changes to it. Now, if we make changes to the CPC, what is it we would change? Would we change the amount of hours that you need to do? Meaning you've only got to do, say, 20 hours worth of CPC courses rather than 35 as it is at the moment? Would you change it so that the courses are shorter, so that you've only got to do a 3 or 4 hour session, but you've got to do more of them to still get to 35? Or change it so that you've only got to do 20 hours, but they're at 5 hour sessions? There's just so many things that could change, and all that is going to do is just alienate another group of people. There's going to be people that like it the way it is, or don't want to do longer hours, or whatever it is, that, yeah, just going to upset a completely different group of people. I personally think the solution is just accept it. It is part of the job. It's here. It's not going anywhere. People have suggested holding a big walkout, a big protest, whatever it is, to say that they're not going to do the CPC, but it's not really going to change anything, is it? It's not going to make any difference. The government is still going to say you've got to have it, you now no longer can drive, and you've got to do all your 35 hours before you're allowed back on the road. And then you've got to change job that you're doing anyway because you haven't done that. And what job are you going to go and do instead that's going to be paying you the money that you get paid? Or you're not going to be able to do the hours that you would do to get the money that you're getting paid now because those other industries don't operate like we do. So yeah, there's just so much that you just need to accept it. It's not going anywhere. And I think that's the solution, is just accept it. It ain't going nowhere. One thing that we can change though is another thing that made people leave the industry, which was the way that they were spoken to or treated as HGV drivers. And the solution to that is really simple. Just don't accept it. If we go to sites and we're spoken to in an inappropriate way, we need to report it. We need to escalate that to management within those companies. If it's happening in our own businesses where we work, then we need to report that to the relevant management teams and HR and all those types of people, because no one should go to work and be spoken to inappropriately or disrespectfully or whatever it is, because we're all here to do a job. We're all here to do the same thing, which is earn money. And yeah, we shouldn't be putting up with that at work. So report it, don't accept it. Now, I'm aware that these things aren't going to change realistically, certainly not overnight. I'm not going to lead a revolution to suddenly get this industry turned on its head and made better, but these are just my thoughts and opinions on things that maybe get people back into driving HGVs again and enjoying it. If there's anything I've missed in the video as to why you left and you would change this about the industry, then leave it in the comments and we can have a little chat about it there. Why not like the video whilst you're there as well? And hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.